कोटि वैष्णव की जय, गंगा श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 8th chapter, text 11. So we read the verse. What? First we read the verse. Saha antah sharire arpita bhuta sukshmah kal atmikam shaktim udirayanaha uvasa tasmin salile pade sve yatha analaha daruni ruddha viryaha. सोऽन्तः शरीरे अर्पितभूतसूक्ष्मः कालात्मिकां शक्तिमुदीरयाणः उवास तस्मिन् सलिले पदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणिरुद्धवीर्यः सोऽन्तः शरीरे अर्पितभूतसूक्ष्मः कालात्मिकां शक्तिमुदीरयाणः उवास तस्मिन् सलिले पदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणिरुद्धवीर्यः सोऽन्तः शरीरे अर्पितभूतसूक्ष्मः कालात्मिकां शक्तिमुदीरयाणः उवास तस्मिन् सलिले पदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणिरुद्धवीर्यः सोऽन्तः शरीरे अर्पितभूतसूक्ष्मः कालात्मिकां शक्तिमुदीरयाणः उवास तस्मिन् सलिले पदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणिरुद्धवीर्यः
सोऽन्तः शरीरे
अर्पितभूतसूक्ष्मः
कालात्मिकां शक्तिमुदीरयाणः उवास तस्मिन् सलिले पदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणिरुद्धवीर्यः सोऽन्तः शरीरे अर्पितभूतसूक्ष्मः कालात्मिकां शक्तिमुदीरयाणः उवास तस्मिन् सलिले पदे स्वे यथा नलो दारुणिरुद्धवीर्यः
सः Supreme Lord
antah
within
sharire
in the transcendental body
arpita
kept
bhuta
material elements
material elements.
Sukshmaha,
Sukshmaha,
subtle.
subtle.
Kala-atmikam,
Kala-atmikam,
the form of time.
the form of time.
Shaktim,
Shaktim,
energy.
energy.
Udirayanaha,
Udayanaha,
invigorating.
invigorating.
Uvasa,
Uvasa,
decided.
decided.
Tasmin,
Tasmin,
therein.
therein.
Salile,
Salile,
in the water.
in the water.
Pade,
Pade,
in the place.
in the place.
Sve,
Sve,
his own.
his own.
Yatha,
Yatha,
as much as.
as.
Analaha,
Analaha,
fire.
fire.
Daruni,
Daruni,
in the fjordwood.
in the field.
Ruddhaviryaha,
Rudraviryaha,
submerged strength.
so much strength.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation: just like the strength of fire within firewood, the Lord remained within the water of dissolution, submerging all the living entities in their subtle bodies. He lay in the self-invigorated energy called Kala. Purport: after the three worlds, the upper, lower and middle planetary systems merged into the water of dissolution, the living entities of all the three worlds remained in their subtle bodies by dint of the energy called Kala. In this dissolution, the gross bodies became unmanifest, but the subtle bodies existed, just like the water of the material creation. Thus, the material energy was not completely wound up, as is the case in the full dissolution of the material world. So, Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Sada Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagarvanathantam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagalavida Shri Vishakhamritamsha Nama Om Shripadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Iti Namane Nama Om Shripadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurmani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gayadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 8th chapter, text number 11. So this chapter is titled as Manifestation of Brahma from Vishnu. So we see that now again the creation is going to happen, as it will be explaining the future verses. So this verse it speaks of the partial dissolution of the material world. So we see that in all the Vedic literatures, throughout the Vedic scriptures, like in the Vedas, it is mentioned that in this material world, in the Vedas and also by different sages like Yaska Muni, he describes in the material world everything beginning from a small ant until the highest living being, Brahma, has to undergo 6 kinds of changes. So they take birth, they are created, they grow, they stay for some time, they produce some byproducts, they dwindle and then they die. They are destroyed. So similarly, the universe also has to pass through all these different stages. So now we are seeing in this verse how the universe was partially destroyed. So that, and from that state, how again the manifestation happens. So that is being explained in this verse. So Vedas, so they give perfect knowledge of everything. So creation, dissolution, etc. Unfortunately, we see scientists don't accept this. So they think that what they are speaking is science and what the Vedas are speaking is not science, it is dogma. But if we properly analyze, if even a layman can understand that what they are speaking is not science, it is actually dogma. For example, now we see that among scientists also there are some group of scientists who believe that there is a creator who creates, who destroys, who maintains everything, etc. And some group of scientists do not accept the existence of a creator. So now if we see, both these scientists have undergone the same scientific training, they have the same scientific data, etc. But we see one group of scientists is saying that God exists and another group of scientists is saying that God doesn't exist. This means that their science is not scientific. Their science is not science. Because if they have the same scientific data, if they have gone through the same scientific training, then they should come to the same conclusion. Either God exists or not, or God doesn't exist. But it doesn't happen. They come to different conclusions. This shows that their science is not science. And they are not scientific. And in fact their science is subjective. So even a layman can understand this. He doesn't need to understand science for that. So, but whereas we see in the Vedas, all these things are explained very nicely, the creation, destruction, etc. So in the Vedas, it is said, the Supreme Lord, he creates, he destroys everything through his different energies. Parasya Shakti Vidhaiva Shruyate Svabhaviki Jnana Balakyacha. So it is not that the Supreme Lord has to create or destroy. Srila Prabhupada explains that it is not that he has to create or destroy, just like a blacksmith with tools and instruments. So you see a blacksmith, he uses different tools, a hammer, some tools and instruments to do some work. The Supreme Lord need not have to create like that. So we see the entire creation, different beings, the mountains, etc. They are not created by the Supreme Lord just like a blacksmith. They are created by his energies. So everything happens by his energies, the creation, the destruction, etc. So this is very easy to understand. So, and for example, we see the creation of this world happens by Lord Brahma, who is the secondary creator, as we'll be seeing now. Brahma will be manifested in the coming verses. So Brahma is doing the creation. So Brahma is empowered by the Lord to perform this task of creation. So of course ultimately everything comes from the Lord. The Lord is giving the inspiration and the intelligence to do that to Brahma. So the example is given, just like we see in the world, in the sky we see first the sun appears, and when the sun appears, it manifests, it displays its brightness, heat and fire. And upon the appearance of the sun, the other luminaries in the sky, like the moon, the stars, etc., they gain energy from the sun and they similarly exhibit that brightness. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is ultimately the creator, the destroyer of everything. But he gives different powers to different beings like Brahma, Shiva, etc. for performing these tasks, because he wants to give credit to them for all these activities. So it is said in the Vedas that the Supreme Lord, from within the heart, he gives inspiration and intelligence for different beings, different surrendered souls to perform different activities. So only those who surrender to him, he gives the intelligence. So similarly we see that even in our movement of preaching, those who surrender to the Lord, they are given the required intelligence to preach Krishna consciousness. So like that, the creation, destruction, everything ultimately happens by the Supreme Lord. But he gives different energies, different powers to different beings like Brahma and Shiva to create and destroy. So Srila Prabhupada also gives the example of Columbus. He discovered America. So it was not that the land was not existing. He just discovered it. But he got the credit. So like that. So we see, so everything is done by the Lord through his different energies. The creation, the destruction, etc. So, and this creation and destruction is ultimately done. The purpose of this is to give a chance to the living entities to reform. So we see that there are some living, in this material world always there will be a class of living entities who will be obedient to the Lord, and the class of living entities who are not obedient to the Lord. So those who are not obedient to the Lord, they are sent to this material world, which is compared to a prison house, to reform. So Srila Prabhupada used to give this example of prison house. So this is a very good example. We can learn many things from this. So every analogy which Srila Prabhupada gave, we can learn a lot of things. So this prison house, the protectress or the fort is maintained by Durga. So she is punishing all the criminals, the living entities who disobey the Lord, to reform, so as to reform them. So and in this prison house there is perfect arrangement for all beings to exist. Food, clothing, shelter, everything is there, so that they can ultimately realize the Supreme Lord. Just like in an ordinary prison house also, we see that the prisoners are maintained very nicely. They are given food, clothing, shelter. In fact, they live a very regulated life, more than even the normal citizens. Sometimes it is seen like that. And sometimes in the Western countries, I heard that prisoners sometimes when they come out of the prison, they become very unhappy. And because once they come out of the prison, they have to again struggle hard for existence. They have to work. They have the problem of employment, etc. So what they do, they again do some crime. They go to some shop, they break some glass, and they stand there and they wait for the police to come and pick them. So they again want to go to the prison. So anyway, so we see the prison house, just like in the prison house there is facility for maintenance. Similarly, in this material world, all facilities are there for the living entities to realize God. So, and also from this example of prison house, Srila Prabhupada explains that in a prison house always there will be some prisoners who will be little better, who will be little obedient to the government. So some time back I realized this. I could see that we went to a prison house for some preaching program, and we saw after we conducted the lecture and kirtan, so we sat with the police superintendent to meet him, and the police officers were all sitting, and when they were all sitting, some prisoner, one or two prisoners were serving tea and coffee to the police officers. So these prisoners were more better compared to the others because they were improving in their behavior, etc. So similarly in this material world there are different levels of prisoners. There are demigods who are more obedient to the Lord. So ultimately it's a prison house, all are prisoners. So all have to reform and ultimately go to the kingdom of God. And so therefore this prison house is there. Now in this verse speaks of the partial annihilation of the material world. So Vedas speak of different kinds of annihilation or destruction. So in the 12th canto and even in other places in the Bhagavatam, different kinds of annihilation are mentioned. For example, in the 12th canto, I went through different kinds of annihilations are mentioned. For example, one kind of annihilation is different kinds of annihilation. One is called constant. The second is final annihilation. Third is partial or occasional annihilation, and the fourth is complete annihilation. So, if we speak of constant annihilation, in this world all beings, beginning from an ant to Brahma, they undergo this. They take birth, they die. So this happens. This is constantly going on. And then there is the final annihilation, in which the living entity, when he realizes the Supreme Lord and his relation with him, he ultimately achieves liberation. So this is liberation of the soul, or it is called as final annihilation. And then there is complete annihilation, in which the entire material world and when Brahma finishes his entire life of 100 years, the entire material world is destroyed. So this is complete or total annihilation. And then the fourth is Naimittika or occasional or partial annihilation, which is described in this verse. So during this time, what happens? So it is not that all the planets are destroyed. So only the upper planets like except the upper planets like Mahaloka, Tapoloka, Janaloka, all the other planets are submerged in water. So this happens because all the planets in this world, they are subjected to a different schedule of a time, different Kala Chakra. So the Earth planet has a different schedule of time, the higher planets have a different schedule of time. So they are created and destroyed at different times. So and after creation, again after destruction, again creation is there. So we heard yesterday from Bhagavad Gita, Bhutva Bhuta Praliyate, that creation and destruction happens again and again. So in one more place in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 28th verse, he explains the same thing. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra kabari devana. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? So like that we see, initially there is a state of unmanifestation, then there is a state of manifest, then there is again unmanifestation. So this goes on happening in this material world. So, and this is to give a chance to the conditioned souls. So Vedas explain that the Supreme Lord is all merciful. He gives a chance to all the conditioned souls time and again. Unlike other religions who say that the Supreme Lord, he ultimately punishes the disobedient living beings eternally in hell. Actually this is not very logical. Anyone can understand. If a child is disobedient to the father or mother may punish the child for some time, but they again begin to love him. It's not that they go on beating the child or punishing him. So they again love him, they treat him, they try to reform him, etc. So this opportunity is given to the conditioned soul to reform. So this keeps on happening, creation and destruction. So it is cyclical. Anyone can understand. We can see in this material world everything happens in a cycle. Now we are in the day, then night comes, again day happens. So everything happens in a cycle. So unlike modern science which says that there is a linear progression of time. So like that. And again at the end of Brahma's night, so at the end of Brahma's night, at the time of Brahma's night, there is partial destruction which is described in this verse, and again in the morning the creation happens. So the living entities again come up in different forms. So it is just like the Shastras give a very good example, and Srila Prabhupada also gives this example. It's just like when we sleep. So we sleep, when we sleep we forget all the activities, and when we again wake up we resume our activities. Just like if a person is an engineer, he is working in a factory or an industry. So throughout the day he works, and when night comes he sleeps, and again in the morning he wakes up and again he goes to the factory too. He resumes his activities. So similarly, all beings in the world, they are given a chance to reform throughout the day of Brahma. They keep on taking birth, dying, etc. But if they do not reform, if they do not achieve the perfection of life, then at the end of Brahma's night, so at Brahma's night, partial devastation happens, and the living entities all enter into the body of Vishnu. And again in the morning, so they come up in different forms based on their past desires. So the Supreme Lord reminds them of their past desires. They are given specific bodies and they are reminded of their past desires and they act accordingly. So like this, we see that creation and destruction happens every now and then. So we see. So this verse, we can read the purport. All the three worlds, the upper, lower and middle planetary systems, submerged into the water of dissolution, the living entities of all the three worlds remained in their settled bodies by dint of the energy called Kala. So by the energy called Kala, they remained in their settled bodies. And again at the beginning of Brahma's day, they were created. So in this verse, it speaks that the gross bodies became unmanifest and the subtle bodies existed. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada concludes that this verse, therefore, it speaks of partial annihilation and not the complete annihilation which happens at the end of Brahma's life. So in this way we discuss how Vedas give knowledge of everything, creation, destruction, everything. How everything is ultimately done by the Supreme Lord, creation, destruction, but he gives credit to different beings like Brahma, Shiva, etc. for these different activities. So, and we saw how there are different kinds kinds of destructions. Actually, there is even one kind of devastation which happens even at the end of each Manu. So we see in a day of Brahma, 14 Manus appear, and each Manu rules for a period of about 71 Chaturyugas. So even at the end of each Manu, a partial devastation happens. So like that, we saw how there are different kinds of dissolutions, and we saw that this verse is ultimately speaking of the partial devastation. So like this, I would like to conclude the discussion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If there are any questions or comments?
I have one question. Here in the purport, Prabhupada writes that in this dissolution, gross bodies became unmanifest, but the subtle bodies existed, just like the water of the material creation. So it appears that when total annihilation happens, the subtle bodies are also wound up. Means here total annihilation has not happened, partial annihilation has happened. So, and Prabhupada also mentions that subtle bodies are existing, gross bodies are not there of the living entities.
So ultimately, if we see, as long as the living entity, he doesn't achieve perfection, he has to have a body. So he cannot release himself from the mind, intelligence and ego. The subtle body always accompanies the living being. So it is there with the living entity. So if he is free from even the subtle body, then means subtle body always exists. Actually, even in the pure state, as far as I understand, the pure soul also has mind, intelligence, but it is purified. So as long as one is in the material world, he is not purified. Whether there is partial annihilation or complete annihilation, the subtle body exists. So subtle body, the influence of the subtle body on the soul will cease to exist when he is purified of all the desires, etc. So this is my understanding. If somebody else has better explanation.
That was my understanding also, but here it looks little different. Therefore, I had this question. It says the material energy was not completely wound up, as in the case of full dissolution of the material world.
Yeah.